Well, good afternoon. Uh, I am so excited to see all of you here and those of you who are on Zoom. My name is Prema Karolis. Hold on. Oh. I'm trying to move to the first slide, but it's not working. Hold on. There we go. My name is Prema Karolis. I am the president of the board of the Sonoma County Vintners. So I wanted to take just a couple minutes to welcome you all here and to introduce Emily, and then we'll get into the meeting. We've got the agenda. And we're also going to talk about the survey results. So really today is about diving into Sonoma County Vintners, what we do, what we can do, and what we should do moving forward. I don't think I need to tell you that this is an incredibly dynamic time, and we find ourselves at something of a crossroads. So that we as vintners, we as the wine industry, and certainly as Sonoma County vintners. And I have to say, and I was just talking to Anne, like, it's really exciting. And what that means is it requires our total involvement and engagement. So what we want to do as your board and as your new executive director is get your feedback and really engage with our members to make sure that we are delivering and over delivering, and make sure also that we're not doing things that we shouldn't be doing. So we're going to cover all of that. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that this time has been very dynamic for other reasons. We had the wine improvement district come up, and that generated a ginormous response. And I have to say that is so freaking awesome, because what it did, I feel like, is like electric shock our community into, we need to engage, we need to be speaking, we need to be coming together to figure out how to overcome the times that we're in, and really how to steer Sonoma County to the best possible outcome for everyone. So for all wineries of all sizes and all AVAs and everything. So I really couldn't be happier. It's been a lot, but I couldn't be happier with the level of engagement. Even today, to see this room full and to know that there are double, if not triple, as many people online here to listen to this and then also participate in the conversation is amazing. So quick note about the Wine Improvement District. It's currently on hold. We realize that, so what that means is we're entering harvest. The Sonoma County Vintners has a new executive director. We need to reconstitute ourselves for you. We need to make sure that members are connected to us. So while the Wine Improvement District is an interesting and exciting conversation to have, it is on pause. So I'm asking today that we actually put it in sort of the parking lot. So when that conversation reignites, and we decide collectively that we want to keep exploring it, we'll let you know. We'll give you plenty of time. We'll make sure to open the doors. We'll have community meetings and really do the work to figure out what it could look like if it should be. So for today, I want us to focus on Sonoma County Vintners. And so that being said, we've got, I think it's really important that you know who your board is. This is a very engaged board. We have been meeting every single week for months, and we're all showing up. And so I just want to say that so that you understand the commitment of your fellow vintners and the importance of this time. And so you'll hear repeatedly today that we want your input. We need your engagement. We need you to really be with us, like hand in hand, as we move forward into the future. So look at all these great people. If you're on the board, will you stand up? Amazing. Okay, so without further ado, I want to introduce Emily Eliason. And what I want to say about Emily really quickly is I'm not going to go through her resume, which is very impressive, but we had engaged with her some time ago because as a board, we realized that we wanted to understand granularly how we were doing as an organization. So we brought Emily on to work with us to really see into our activities, our strengths, our weaknesses from a financial point of view. How are we doing? So it is wonderful timing, and we're so grateful that she was willing to take on this interim executive director role because she was already with us. So I don't know if that was clear to everybody, but so there's this nice continuity, and she's just a dynamo. So Emily, come on up. Oh, yeah. Yay! Yeah, I didn't say anything about the mission statement, but
Oh, our mission statement, you can read that while I get settled. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks so much for coming. Okay. So when I agreed to step into the interim executive director role, and it was announced, I had a good friend who's in the wine industry. This was a couple of weeks ago. Call me up and she said somewhat sarcastically, "Wow, you sure know how to pick the easy jobs." And I laughed because if there's one thing I'm not very good at, it's finding the easy jobs. And I have found in my 20 years in the wine industry that actually none of our jobs are easy. And certainly the issues that we are facing are getting harder and harder and more complex. And they usually come with strong opinions and lots of debate and sometimes some really heated conversations. But people don't feel passionately and deeply about things that they don't care about. And for all of us, there is a lot at stake. And I think some of the really intense conversations that we've had in our community lately are just a measure for how much this region and our businesses and the community mean to all of us. So I've long admired all the work that the Vintners do and all that they've accomplished, and I want that to continue, and that's why I said yes to helping now. And so my job, I think, is not easy, but it's pretty simple. It's to listen. It's to make sure that we all have a voice in deciding what our future looks like, and then making changes to put us on the right path going forward. So there we go. So as Prema mentioned, we're in a period of transition at the Vintners. So many of the external forces that are impacting you and your wineries are impacting our organization as well. We've got inflation, economic uncertainty, changing consumer habits, all these things. And at the Vintners, historically, we've relied on membership dues to be a primary source of income. And the way our model works is that membership dues are based on case sales of our member wineries. So as our member wineries don't sell as much, we don't make as much. And it really has an impact on the programming that we're going to be able to do. And we do a lot, and I'm excited to share some of the things that we've done in 2025, but we can't continue like this. And we need to acknowledge that we're going to have to make some changes. So I'll talk more about that when we get into the survey results. But first, I want to talk about our member programs. So this is going to be, a little bit of a review on what we've done so far, but more importantly, what's still coming up in 2025 that you can take part in. I'm going to highlight some of our major initiatives and also confess that I had nothing to do with any of this really, really impressive work. It is the work of the team and who was led by Michael Haney up until a couple of weeks ago, who's really done a lot of this impressive work. So a lot of them are standing already, but could the team stand up if they haven't? So So sorry for those that aren't in the room. So Tracy, who's probably still downstairs, many of you know already, she's our membership manager. Ashley, if you do anything with international, you probably know Ashley Boyle. She's our trade relations and international programs manager. Barbara Cox oversees marketing and communications. Christina Esrock's our accountant. She couldn't be here today. Heather Hardesty is our creative manager. All the graphics that you see on social and the website and in emails are Heather's work. Dana McCauley has been with the Vintners a long time. She's the managing director of auctions and experiential marketing. So as you can imagine, she's a little busy right now. Kelsey McNeil oversees partnership and she's a foundation programs director. And then Amy, Amy's downstairs. Okay. So last but not least is Amy Patrick. She's our marketing and PR manager, and she's also our digital guru. So that's the team. So in 2025, we've accomplished a lot. Just some highlights. We had 45 different consumer programs and interacted with over 3,000 consumers, 11 different trade and international programs, and interacted with 800 of those folks. 16 plus member education programs, and then we've generated over 10 million in media impressions, both paid and organic. For consumer, whoops, did it go back? Sorry, I don't know why we're having a latency. Okay, so for consumer programs, Taste of Sonoma is our big consumer tasting event. And that happened back in June. And then we also started this year a really popular program called Pour and Explore. And these two, Taste of Sonoma and Pour and Explore, are open participation programs. So if you're a winery, you've got wine and you've got someone to pour, we would love to have you at these events. We have hosted 8 Pour and Explores throughout the year. We still have 2 left. They are themed, but if you were interested in taking part and haven't signed up yet, please talk to us. We also have our Winemaker Wednesdays, which happen every other Wednesday at the Matheson, and that's followed by our radio program. And then An Hour Uncorked is another new program that we do in partnership with Region in Sebastopol. And that really highlights some of our smaller producers, and that's every 3rd Thursday of the month. And then finally, Sonoma County Wine Celebration coming up. So I've asked Alexandra O'Gorman, who is our the president of the Sonoma County Vintners Foundation, which is putting on the auction, supports the foundation, to talk a little bit about all the activities for the weekend and how you can still get involved. Hi, everybody. Yes. Want to use the mic?
Hi, everybody. It's nice to see so many friendly faces out here. It is a lovely community, and it's great to see everybody. So speaking of community, once a year we get together to support the community. It's newly branded last year, called the Sonoma County Wine Celebration. Ooh, This year it's going to be taking place at Klein's Cellars out in Sonoma Valley, which is a lovely location. Thank you, Klein family, for doing that. And it's our opportunity to get together as a community to raise funds to give back to the community for those who are in need. So our main target is the K through 3 initiative to try and bring literacy to every child who graduates from the 3rd grade to be reading at or above a 3rd grade level. There's lots of statistics on the way that their life path changes if they're at or above a 3rd grade level by 3rd grade. And we're very proud of an initiative that was actually started by Rodney Strong many years ago to drive that. And Gary Nelson is a big partner for us with that as well. But the main point, and you'll find out more about this within the survey, a lot of vintners have been saying that they're really excited about what we as the Vintner organization provide for them with winemaker dinners. This is an opportunity for you as a vintner to sit at a table with people who have chosen to come to Sonoma County because they're excited about our wine and they're excited about the culture that we provide. So for you as a vintner, please buy a ticket, not only to support the vintners, but to support the community, but also to give you an opportunity to sit there, to sell your wine, and to know in your heart of hearts that it's the right thing to do. It's also a tax write-off, so feel free to utilize that. The next thing you can do is to also submit silent auction lots. This year we're doing a different format. Instead of a long program of live auction lots, we're doing condensed, really exciting very exciting auction lots that Dana's been working very hard at. Thank you, Dana, for all the hard work, by the way. And we're also going to be doing silent auction lots as people are doing roaming tastings in the reception. So if you'd like to pour your wine at the reception and have a silent auction lot available, please contact Dana. Please actually read any of the emails that come from Dana, because they actually list out how you can be involved. There are also 2 other dinners right before the Saturday event that you can participate in. Again, this is an opportunity for you to have one-on-one interactions with high net worth individuals who have flown here or driven here, who want to participate, who want to be a part of the community, not just the feel good stuff about, helping children read, but also they want to taste your wine. They want to be a part of the food culture that we have here in Sonoma County. So please participate. It's the right thing to do. And it also is super fun. So thank you very much for listening. And thanks for supporting Sonoma County Vintners and the foundation.
Thanks. Great. Okay. All right, so move on to our trade program. So we held the Sonoma County barrel auction back in May. Oh, I got one. Thanks, Mike. Mike, watching out for things. So between hosting tasting seminar and events abroad and hosting tastings and seminars and events at home for national and international trade and media, we've really kept busy. And some of these programs we've done in partnership with the Wine Institute and some other trade organizations to showcase our really great, wonderful wines that we make here in Sonoma. We've hosted a lot of media this year. We coordinated critic tastings. We promoted wine submission opportunities. We've done radio and podcast interviews, and we've really upped our game when it comes to digital. Still a little ways to go, but we've really pretty substantially grown our website traffic and our reach. So Scion, how many of you are familiar with Scion? Okay, that's pretty good. It stands for Sonoma County Industry Opportunity Network, and this is really an incredible program that allows all of us to learn from our partners in the industry and hear a little bit about what they do and how we can grow our businesses. So these are kind of geeky seminars, right? Each one is not for everybody. They tend to focus on a specific aspect of our business, but we've had over 70 wineries participate this year, and we've held 8, but there is a really robust library of past seminars that's available online. So if you've got specific questions or issues in certain areas, it's really a great place to look. We've also had quarterly lunch and learns, and we've had 4 second state leadership labs as well. And then a quick preview of our survey results. Government relations, I'll let you read all the details, stood out in the survey as a major area of importance. And so I've asked Mike Martini, who is a co-founder of Taft Street Winery. Mike sits on our board and runs our government relations committee, to come up, talk a little bit about what this committee does, what we've done in this area in 2025. And, if some of the work hasn't touched your winery or your area, you may not know about it, but it is really, really important work. So, Mike.
So at my age, I've come to the realization that it is important to prioritize what you do. And I'm facing a little bit of a conundrum, because I have 2 arms. I have a glass of wine. I have notes to discuss with you, and I have a microphone. So I'm going to get rid of the notes. I want to join the rest of the board and thank everybody for being here today. I mean, it is interesting. We all share the passion of wine production and sales, but how we market our wines and how our various goals for our businesses, they're all different. And as such, getting together on an event like today to discuss what it is that's important to each of you is critical, and that's where we're going to find the solution. So thank you all for being here. We've already talked about, the environmental issues of water supply, or wildfire access. We've talked about economic issues of cost of labor, the cost of supplies, the cost of capital. We've also talked about this weird thing that's going on. And I want to point a little bit of an accusatory finger at us all, because I don't think we did a very good job teaching our children the importance of drinking wine. So there's this change in the consumer that's taking place that absolutely astounds me. I am doing my best to pick up the need for 2 millennial and 1 Gen Xer. So I ask all of you to do the same. But in this room, there are people who I believe have a lot of the solutions for many of those problems. But there's another challenge that we have, and that's the cost of regulation. And the cost of regulation takes away time, it takes away money, and it takes away your ability to do what it is that you want to do. And you find yourself wrapped up in restrictions, in compliance, in reporting, and the lack of ability to be flexible. Now, I want to point out again that I look to all of you for solutions in marketing. And as a marketer, I just want to point out I am one hell of a policy nerd. The comment is made often that anybody who looks at politics, it's like sausage making. And once you see that what goes into it, you'll never eat it again. My response is, sir, I'll have another platter of the haggis. And I've had the honor of working with the Vintners and chairing their governmental relations committee. And I first of all want to applaud the Vintners because it is an important factor. It may not be as important as so many of the other things they do, but it is an important factor. And the things that we have done over the last couple of years, working with the Wine Grape Commission and the Farm Bureau, working with the community health services, we were able to get vaccinations to essential workers in the vineyards and in the wineries to the head of the line. We worked with the public safety, to get access during evacuations for wildfires. That went completely sideways when an organization called North Bay Jobs for Justice tried to make this a labor issue. But we worked diligently to get it back to a public safety issue. And God forbid there's another wildfire in our community, but I believe we are much more well prepared to deal with it moving forward than we were. We had the ability to help roll out and educate on the California recycling. What a wonderful program that is. But we all got through it and we were able to do some things. There's some very important things that we're working on right now that are really impactful. And the first one I want to talk about is the winery order that many of you are aware of. Some of you may not be aware of, but the state water board passed a statewide winery WDR waste discharge requirements, whose compliance with is extremely expensive. And I know there's some people in the room here who can attest to how expensive that is. But working with Mike Haney and myself and Kim Stair, Jeffrey Kreck, others, we had an incredible meeting with Senator Pro Tem McGuire. Oh, now I'm going to mess up his name. Where'd she go? Liz. How do I say that name? Cambalden. I apologize. You think I'd know their names. But also Assembly members Connolly and Rogers. And they have directed the staff of the State Water Board to look at the impacts and the results of this order. Are they really delivering what they want? And what we've been able to discover is there is a program available for a waiver. And the waiver is really a get out of jail free card. And we've been working now, we've just submitted a series of numbers to the state staff that we believe this is going to save small and medium-sized wineries a lot of money. There's about 25 wineries who are already participating in this program. The other thing that's happening right now, the county is going through a general plan update. This is an opportunity for the community to weigh in on what they want the community to look like 20 years from now. We are working with the Farm Bureau and working with Supervisors Hopkins and Gore in taking a very close look at the ag element, with the emphasis on strengthening the right to farm, the emphasis on moving things from conditional permission to by right permission. We're talking about how we can broaden marketing opportunities and flexibility to our wineries and producers to get their products to market, whatever market they choose to do. This is a really important step, and we have the support of the supervisors moving forward on it. And I just want to point out that if you followed any of this stuff, last year, the Measure J, which was an effort to stop factory farms is what they call them. I call them family farms. Failed with 85% of the vote. I have not seen an election that's gotten 85% of the vote. And yet Sonoma County residents said how important it was for our multi-generational, family-owned agriculture here in Sonoma County. And to underscore that, the Wine Grape Commission, Carissa will correct me in a second if I get the number wrong, but they did an analysis, and 26% or thereabout of the property tax revenue that comes into the county is from the wine community. That's a significant number, and it should, and it is getting the attention of the supervisors. So as we move forward on these efforts, it's about those relationships and creating those relationships, maintaining those relationships, and working with our electeds. The other effort, the Vintners, we do not endorse candidates, but the Governmental Relations Committee, we do send out questionnaires to candidates. Ask them about the issues that are important to the wine community, and then distribute those answers so that you have that information as we move forward into an election. This is a really good time in one respect. It's a bad time. I know we got to deal with all of the stuff that we're facing, but right now, Sonoma County is poised with a board of supervisors that is listening to the wine community, and we need to take advantage of that. So I'm going to put in one more plug. Again, I don't do marketing. I don't know how to do marketing. I just learned this year I'm supposed to make money in my business. Bank, I think, has been trying to tell me that for years. I've ignored the hell out of them. But I was convinced this is a trial, and this is going to be a test for you all. I am very excited to participate in the wine celebration and auction that is coming up. And we put in there an auction lot that I'm calling Pork and Politics. And Pork and Politics is dinner for 8 at Taft Street Winery with the current chair of the Board of Supervisors, Linda Hopkins, also the 5th District Supervisor. The last thing I need to do is embarrass Linda. I can always embarrass myself, that's fine, but we will be doing pork 2 ways in a Texas smoker. Come on over and join us. This is how we do it. We create relationships. It can't be about the bitch sessions. It can't be just getting in front of these men and women and complaining about one particular item. You create relationships. And once you create those relationships, then you have the ability to get to the bitch sessions and have a leg up. You also get called. Mike Haney got constantly phone calls from the supervisors with heads ups. These are important issues. And I'm happy to say I'm happy to continue working on these moving forward. Thank you all for being here. Solve those other problems. I'll go to the board meeting.
Thanks, Mike. Okay. Okay, I've mentioned a few of these partners already, but just a reminder that we work with all of these agencies and organizations and companies on a regular basis. And it's certainly an area where we are looking to pool even more resources and do more to work with these agencies in 2026. So I hope you would agree that one of the most impressive things about the Vintners is the sheer breadth of activities that we take on. But just like many of you see in your own businesses, we are starting to realize that some of the things that we're doing aren't giving the returns that they used to. So a good example of this for us is events. We are finding with some of our events that we are spending more and we're getting less. And so for us, that really points to the need to find a different approach. And that's what we're planning to do in 2026. We will be evaluating everything. Everything's on the table. And we will really be focusing on what best matches with our priorities and what we're hearing is most impactful to your businesses. And the survey really helps put us in the right direction. So the survey for us, I think you'll see, highlights some pretty important and impactful areas where we may not be putting enough energy currently. And then it also points to other areas where we're getting less impact, and it may indicate places that we need to back away and not do things in anymore. So keep that in mind as we go through the numbers. I'm going to go through them pretty quick, just in the interest of time. We will make these slides available after, and we'll send them out to everyone, right, Barbara? Yeah. So if you don't catch something the first time, that's fine. We'll send them out. We're also going to try to ask a few questions along the way to keep things interactive. We'll see how that goes. So let's jump into it. Okay, so for this survey, I was told that this is pretty good in terms of responses from what we normally get on our surveys. So we had 92 total responses. We had the majority from current Sonoma County Vintners members, but we were really interested in seeing what former members had said too. So a little under 20% of those folks participated. We had a pretty good mix of winery sizes represented as well, with really that bulk being in the 1,000 to 5,000 case range. We had a fairly broad engagement, really from every corner of the county. Every single AVA that we listed had representation. We also had pretty wide representation from the AVAs that members say that they pay dues to, and some of them, some wineries, picked multiple, and then we had the bulk in Russian River. Okay, our first multiple choice question. We asked respondents to name the audience that is most important to their business, and national consumers were considered most important, followed by local consumers. Wine buyers and media, somewhat important on average, and least important were SOMs. The next question we asked was about consumer activities and which ones are most important. Winemaker dinners really stood out as the most impactful consumer activity. 63% of respondents rated this either a 4 or a 5, which was the highest on the scale. And this is an area where we'd love to get a little bit more information and some context. So what we're going to try to do is run a little bit of a straw poll online on Zoom, and then we'll do a show of hands here in the room. So for winemaker dinners, I'm sure many of you here rated this highly. Where are you most interested in participating in winemaker dinners? Local, national, or international? Show of hands for local. Oh. Not that many. Okay. How about national? A lot more there. And international? Just a few. Excellent. Great. Thank you. And then online, national. So pretty much the same, 69%, is that right? Online. So pretty consistent with what we saw in the room. Okay, so Taste of Sonoma, Pour and Explore, Wine Celebration, kind of follow closely behind, and then Winemaker Wednesdays and Uncorked It region ranked the lowest, but they're also very small programs where we can only feature 1 or 2 wineries. I've got my Zoom poll up. I think that might be messing things up. Sorry for the technical difficulty, just won't advance. I'm going to try to project again. There we go. Okay. Might happen again with the next poll, but we'll see. Okay, so for trade activities, wine critic tastings emerged as the most important activity, followed by winemaker dinners with trade and social media influencer hosting, though about half of respondents noted that the social media influencer hosting wasn't really applicable for them. And then some mixers, the barrel auction, international shows and trips, and the BMI wine and food experience were considered less critical. And so our next question is on international. This is an area where we put a lot of focus. We get a lot of anecdotal feedback that people really enjoy the programs. And we're curious about how many of you are actually exporting internationally. So if you are exporting internationally currently, can you raise your hands? Okay, about a handful, maybe a quarter. Of the no's, we're curious to know who is a no and not interested at all, and who is a no, but you are interested for a variety of reasons. You may not be doing it yet, or you may not be doing it today, but you're interested. So who is a hard no? Okay, about the same, a quarter. And then who is no but interested? Okay, just a handful. 4 or 5. Okay, thank you guys. Online, we have mostly yes, 64% yes, and 29% interested, and 7% no. Sorry, I think that's going to happen every single time we do the poll, but that's okay. Okay. Media events. Not surprisingly, winemaker dinners, once again, were considered most important, followed by the Sonoma Summit, which is where we bring international trade and media, and then the global buyers trade market, which is probably more trade than media, but also I think many people label that just not applicable and may not know about it. For curated content, Vine, Wine, and Dine, which is a radio program, and SCV Uncorked podcasts were rated medium to low in importance. These are fairly minimal cost programs for us, but we'll look at how to prioritize them in the future. And then SCV Uncorked, the podcast, just started a couple of months ago. So I think we need to give it a little bit more time to get some traction. For education services, member seminars or Scion were really rated top. Then mandatory training certifications. And so these are for things like food safety, ethics, sexual harassment, and then social media and marketing tools are all viewed as more or less the same in terms of a priority. Member mixers, town halls, lunch and learns, medium, and then the quarterly coffees and second state leadership, not as popular. Okay, so for the member seminars for Scion, we were just interested to see what you're looking to get more information about, kind of what aspects, what functions. So you can raise your hand for as many of these as you want. Who would be interested in member education seminars on hospitality? Only about 5. How about marketing and sales? Few more, maybe 10. Viticulture and enology. Okay, 3. Legal and compliance. Fun. Oh, okay, a lot of show of hands there. And how about financial? Sorry, financial? Okay, 4 or 5 maybe. Okay, great, thank you. So online, they liked marketing and sales better. Online, about 70% said that they would like marketing and sales, only 20% for hospitality. Is that right? And then viticulture, legal and compliance, and financial were all about 30%. Okay. Okay. For winery or for services regarding engagement, county policy and ordinance assistant ranks the highest, with about 52% of the respondents rating that a 4 or a 5, followed by state policy and ordinance assistants, and that was about 50% of respondents gave that a 4 or 5. Resources for operational issues was next, and so this is for things like permitting, event requirements, that sort of thing. Then national policy, and then crisis response and support tends to do better on surveys when we're in or just after a really major crisis that impacts the whole county, which we haven't had in the way that we've had lately with the fires and the floods and pandemic. And then the candidate, representative, or agency issue education is last. Okay. So we asked 2 qualitative questions on the survey. So they were open-ended, and then we did our best to code to try to get a quantitative sense of what is most important. So the first question was, what is the #1 barrier to the success of your business? And we heard loud and clear across the board, it's visitation or lack of visitation. The second was rising cost of doing business. And the third was finding new customers. And we have some verbatims from some of the responses that we got. So consumers are cutting back on drinking. We really need to expand our reach and gain access to more consumers. There's a lot of red tape and bureaucracy, and it's just really expensive to run a business in Sonoma County. The second question we asked was, what is the #1 program or service you would really like to see from the Vintners? And #1, not surprising, given the #1 barrier is attracting visitors and increasing visitation. The second was national marketing efforts or on-the-road events. And then the third is government permitting and regulatory support. And so some of the verbatims here, we need you to foster more awareness and demand. We want you to continue to have a voice in regulatory issues. You really need to drive the Sonoma County brand awareness with consumer trade and media. And we love the Sonoma and the city programs. Also, something that wasn't in the top 3, but we heard pretty much universally in both questions was collaboration, and really a desire for us to collaborate more with other wine industry organizations or other organizations in our community. Did I miss a question? Okay. Do you want to go back? Okay. Yeah, I think so too. So previously we had heard, maybe going back a couple of years ago, that travel budgets were shrinking and scaling back, and you really wanted us to focus on doing things here in Sonoma County to try to get people to come to your wineries and to have a great time when they were there. So given this feedback and thinking about your plans for 2026, would you plan to allocate resources to travel nationally for you, your winemakers, someone on your staff, if Sonoma County Vintners planned in-market programming? How many would be a yes?
I think a lot of us already have travel plans for 2026.
Mm-hmm. Too late, but you are going out and traveling more. Great. Okay, so 83% said yes online. Okay, hopefully the last time I have to do that. Okay. Okay, so I think our top priorities for 2026 are pretty clear. It really comes down to 3 things: consumers, costs, and services. Whoops. So the first thing we need to do is drive consumer demand and visitation and really grow the awareness of Sonoma County wines and bring more people through the winery doors. The second is supporting winery sustainability by really helping to offset rising costs and really doing this by pooling resources where we can, and then also being a larger voice in government and regulatory matters. And then third, we have to deliver high value member services, practical tools, training, marketing support, and real opportunities to connect with buyers and media. So these are the priorities that you told us matter most and will shape the programs that we build next year. So thank you for all of you who participated. If you didn't, there's still more opportunities to give us your feedback. So we are excited about a new option we're going to pilot for ongoing input and feedback. So for the months of September and October, every Tuesday in our office in Santa Rosa, we'll be having office hours from 3 to 5. Come in, stop by, ask questions. We can brainstorm. And then you can always email me. My email address is up there. And then at the end of the presentation, when we send it out, you will see email addresses for every single member of our board and everyone on the team as well. And feel free to reach out to any of us with questions or concerns or anything. So I wish I could stand here today and walk you through a very well thought out 2026 plan, but we're not there yet. And it's not really the point. I think we really want to create something together and not in a vacuum. But what we can commit to is to provide updates and details on our 2026 plans. And we promise to build it with your input, your ideas, and your support. But to get there, we really need you to show up, speak up, and step up. Together, we can make sure that the plan that we put forward is one that pulls all of Sonoma County forward. So please participate in the events that we have for the remainder of the year. They're all posted on sonomawine.com, also listed at the end of the presentation. Join us for office hours. Come in, stop by, or send us an email. And please support us through your membership commitment and engagement. Our renewals begin in October. Ask winery partners to join, and together we can have a collective impact. So that concludes our presentation. Again, thank you all for coming. We will distribute the slides, and we look forward to hearing from you and hopefully collaborating with you soon. Thanks. So we have some time for Q&A. Given I'm a little new, the board, I think, is going to help as well. We've got our team that can also help with things. And so if you are interested, online as well, you can put questions in the chat and Ashley will monitor those. But if you have questions here in the room, just let us know. We've got microphones so the folks on Zoom can hear. And please tell us who you are too.
Someone on the chat, Sarah Kelly, would like to know if will a 2026 plan be in place or be talked about before October for renewals?
Probably around that time. I'm not gonna say much before. What else?
Do you expect membership dues to be the same in 26 or revised?
So the question is, do we expect membership dues to be the same this year or revised?
We actually haven't talked about that as a board. So, I mean, input from you guys would be great. I don't know that generally changing a dues structure takes a lot of work, which we haven't focused on that at this point. So the fact that they're based, I'm not sure that we would shift like what they're based on sales. And, we had talked about that means the dues income is shrinking, but I think we just need to work with what reality is. So I don't think it's the time, honestly, to make a big change to that. I think we should keep the system that's in place. And, there's a lot under review for evolution. And so to me, that's something that like in the future may change, but for now we're used to it. It's how it's kind of been done. And I think we should keep that some consistency somewhere. So I don't know.
Actually, I came to offer opinion. David Ramey. I need that? I don't know. David Ramey, I get the prize for the shortest commute. I can see my house from here up behind the Madrona. 10-year board member, first year off. And my perspective is that, and is Mike Haney here at all? I mean, no flies on Mike. He did a great job for 11 years, but his background was charity at Lato Devan and Nashville. And I feel the focus of Sonoma County Vintners has been too much on charity for the last 10 years and not enough on marketing. We have competition across the mountain range in Napa, Santa Barbara, Paso Robles, Oregon, and back in the 80s and 90s, we used to do road trips, and we'd show up in Cincinnati and then Columbus and then Cleveland, and the locals really appreciated it. I mean, we had a retailer come when our bus showed up, retailer welcoming us. And I'd like to see the Vintners get back to more marketing.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Yeah. And David, I think that message was echoed in the survey. So, that's exactly the reason for all of this, is for us to really stop and ask ourselves very honestly, what is it that we've been doing well? What do we need to stop doing? And what do we need to start doing or restart doing? So thanks for that.
Thank you. I have a loud voice. The question I have been involved in various aspects of this organization for 40 years. And as a winery, although we consult for other people who are members now, who do more national work, we're direct to consumer. And I think the visitation being number one is counterintuitive to the focus on national and international, especially international. To me, makes no sense whatsoever for my winery, for what I do. And I'm just wondering what percentage of your overall energy, time, and funding go to international, which is only like $500 more a year to belong to that segment of it, because I've been looking at the online, versus really getting people to Sonoma County and really developing strategies that will be number one, visitation here. And I just like to know how you're kind of balancing out your expenditures versus your goals.
Mhm. No. Okay. So I think that's exactly what we're evaluating, right? And we know that, I think every single thing that was listed out today in our activities is beneficial to someone in our community, right? But we have to focus on what is giving the most impact to the most people. And so again, something like international, that is half of Ashley's time. Is that fair?
Yeah, I was. In honor, please chime in. But I would just like to talk with the international program. Yes, there is an additional $500 due with your membership to participate in these international programs. But we're super fortunate to have a really strong relationship with California Wine Institute, and they give us a grant to operate all our international programs and run all of these amazing educational seminars, participate in trade shows. We also bring groups, international groups here. So, that's how we're mostly able to do these international programs. So thanks to California Wine Institute.
Did you want to say something, Honor?
Yeah, I'll just
Yeah.
chime in briefly.
Here.
Honor. Honor. I can do this, guys.
Honor. So many of you.
Oh, sure. Which, two key points. David, thank you so much for your comments about who we're looking at and who our competition is. But I want to raise the stakes on that. In that Sonoma County, we're not just competing with our colleagues over the hill or those down in Santa Barbara and the Central Coast. Sonoma County wines are competing with the best of Burgundy, Bordeaux, Tuscany, New Zealand, Australia. Our wines are on the world's stage from a wine perspective. And that is the reason why we invest in developing and building the brand for Sonoma County and for each of your wines. Whether your wines are being sold internationally now or not, the work that we do to elevate the image, build awareness of the regions, and invest in the value of Sonoma County wines comes back to every single one of you. So I believe, I don't know if this is the case, but I believe that Wine Institute is perhaps one of the larger funders of this organization. But the reason why we do it is because we believe in the bigger picture and the bigger value. We would love to have all of you be involved because there is an opportunity for each one of your brands to be a part of what we do in a way that's meaningful. Meaningful to whether it's media, trade, collectors, critics, or consumers. So I just think you all know how much I care about this place. I believe you know how deeply invested I am in the success of not only this organization, but the county. And I'm deeply committed to the partnership that makes all of us thrive and survive. And we are so much stronger together than individually. And I think right now that is a point. And David, I love what you said. You know that you are and continue to be and will always be one of the voices that has helped carry our story forward. But as we work with and look to those that are coming up along with us and are the future, that's really where we need to be focused. And that's our goal. So anyway, Emily, I just want you to know that I'm here because I'm interested in continuing to work and help and support. Again,
Back honor.
I'm here. Anyway, so thank you. And a big congratulations to Ashley with all the hard work that she's done to champion your wines. And most importantly, this region, and even more importantly, the sub-regions that make Sonoma County so distinctive. And that's such an important part of what we do.
Thank you, Honor.
I just wanted to piggyback on what Honor said in terms of the era that we're in. It's palpable and it's super exciting. I mean, we have Honor in the room, we have Carissa in the room. Like this, things are changing. This slide, my favorite slide of this whole deck is that we cannot do things like we've been doing them. And the openness to collaborating with these other organizations is so real. And so we've removed a lot of barriers, and there were barriers from the past. And so it's exciting to think of the collective power of these organizations actually coming together, working together, and charting a new path for the future and identifying like where it is really that we need to go. And, you know, we believe, all of us, that like Sonoma County uniquely has exactly what consumers want right now. And we just haven't been able to really connect that to them. And so that's what we're trying to do. And we're doing that as your organization, as the Vintners, but we're doing it in partnership with the California Wine Institute. We're doing it in partnership with the growers. Like we need to come together, and that's what we're doing. So anyway.
Carmen Castaldi, I've been involved with the Vintners for many years and also work with the growers over the years too. The number one priority is bringing visitation, right, and brand awareness to Sonoma County. The big question that we all have to address is, what does an impactful budget look like to make that successful? And as Vintners, you know, are you ready for that? And so to the community, I say this because there's never a lacking of great ideas from some incredibly creative people, but we have to face the music here. We have to put an impactful marketing budget together. And what is that number, right? So that's the challenge that we face. We thank you for everything you're doing to show the transparency, and that's what the wine growers are trying to do. And we got to get tourism involved in all that too. Thanks.
I have a question. Can you talk about where the budget is made up from in terms of membership dues, barrel auction? I think those are probably the two biggest, as well as a grant from California Wines, and then sponsorships, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, so mine's is a sieve, so it's hard for me to remember back to the numbers. The interesting thing is that it changes from year to year, depending on what's happening in the sponsorship world, depending on what's happening in the membership world. It varies quite a bit, but certainly our events, our membership dues, our sponsorships are the primary drivers. Am I missing something? Yes, exactly. Like Wine Institute partnership funding as well are really the main drivers. And any one of those on any given year can make a big impact on the overall budget, but it does vary year to year.
I'm Sean Carroll from Jackson Family Wines. One of the questions I have, because the DTC and just tourism and bringing people tasting rooms has been like one of the big themes today. My question is just around like how you're working with tourism, because when you look at their stats, hotel stays are up in Sonoma County. So in some ways, it's not a problem them coming to Sonoma County. It's a problem them going to the wineries. And so just knowing the trio, I used to work at Sonoma County Wine Growers, so I'll just be transparent. There was a lot of collaboration among all three organizations, and it feels like that's not happening anymore. And I do feel tourism has the biggest budget. So where is, I guess, the organization moving towards working with them more to get them to start promoting our industry, which really is the lifeblood here.
Question.
Hi, Sean. Thanks for being here. Alexandra O'Gorman. I happen to be on the Sonoma County Tourism Marketing Committee, and I just came from that meeting coming here today. I'm very happy to say that Emily and Carissa and Claudia from the tourism are going to be beginning their kind of rejoining of conversations to see how they can continue to lean in on each other. We do realize that the largest budget right now is with tourism, and happy to also announce that 6 weeks ago, we shifted marketing agencies. Instead of just Life Opens Up Here, it's now going to be Wine Country for all of us. So they're really trying to drive awareness and reminding that we are, hi Alex, that we are a wine industry, and that we also have zip lining, and we also have, Safari West, and we also have, these coasts, but we are the wine industry. So the messaging is shifting. We're really excited about it. There's actually been a lot of great pull through on the ads that have just come out these last 4 weeks. The stats today were pretty awesome. It's one for every $1, we get $88 back in ROAS, which is phenomenal for the tourism. So anyway, we should be seeing more visitation based on what they're doing, but I think it'll be a lot more impactful when Carissa and Emily and Claudia all get in a room and begin pulling together. So we're excited to go back to it, Anna. Yeah, I'm totally.
I just want to make sure I understand what you just said. So is it a possibility that what was formerly known as the trio will re-trioize?
Now is that all three organizations are very excited about coming back together to figure out how we can work better together.
Okay, thank you.
This is a very exciting time. Prema mentioned that. This is the time for us to reunify and figure out what everybody does well and how we can lean in on each other and make it better for the whole community. Because it's not just wineries, it's also our growing partners. Sorry, it's not just wineries, it's also our farming partners, our restaurant partners, our hotel partners, on and on. So this is a chance for all of us to kind of benefit from each other. We all know that the wineries are one of the reasons why we're so well known throughout the world. Thank you, Anna, for sharing our message out there. Thank you for Carissa for sharing our message out there. Thank you, Mike Haney, for sharing our message out there as well. It's one of the drivers here, but when you get here, you also have the cheesemongers. And I mean, if you were on the call yesterday with Adam Lee, you heard all of the various things that we have around Sonoma County. So I can't answer the question on whether we're going to be called the trio again. All I know is that we're actually going to get to the table together again. and we'll see where it goes. Better together. What's wrong?
Yeah, I'm Brian Ball with Skipstone Winery. Just a general like sentiment that it seemed like stuck out is like, obviously there's a lot of work to be done. We have a lot of priorities here. When I believe it was last week, the wine growers sent out their annual report on, how the operation is funded, to your question, but where the dollars are being spent and comparing that over time. It had me like look back and say, well, how are the vintners funded and where is the money being spent? And I think that's something that for an organization like this, when either for right or for wrong, there's a lot of questions being asked of all the organizations right now, right? The heat's turned up on all of us and it gets our blood maybe roiled up a little bit. And, is there a annual report that is sent out? Obviously the board sees this. I looked back and I literally could not find online or in any communication sent to me as a member. So my request is, if it isn't being sent out, please do share that. I think that would help make people feel great about choosing to renew and how much that renewal value it means to us. Like, no one's going to say marketing is not important, but how much is marketing important to everybody helps us decide, do we want to continue to be actively involved here and help steer some of these things. So maybe you can share if we are sending it and maybe just say, Brian, look at your email better.
No,
But
no, this is really one of the things that as your board, like we were realizing, like there's not enough transparency around, which is the initial reason why we brought Emily on to help us as a board understand. So the intention is to create transparency and to be able to send out reports like that. And that's part of Emily's charge, is to restructure in a way that we can, that information is readily available, that we can send it to members, that there's just a bigger feedback loop. So the commitment is that there will be annual reports, there will be annual meetings. So I don't know at what point, maybe it was the pandemic. I think at some point there were annual meetings and I honestly can't even remember before the pandemic anymore, but it did go away. And so that part of our commitment is to put all of that back in place so that we're really connecting for you guys what your membership is doing and what it's buying and what the product is. So thank you for saying that. And as a board, and certainly that's Emily's like main charge, is to gather that information and then to share it.
And I would just say, sorry, Brian, but I'm Barbara Cox, head of marketing, and we and we have done annual reports before, but I think it's a little bit different than what you're looking for, and we definitely can look to do that more from a financial standpoint. But every year we do, at the end of the year, usually an annual report. It's on our website in the footer at the very bottom. It says annual report. The latest one is there, and it summarizes all the programs that we do. So a lot of the emails that you guys get throughout the year, it'll summarize that to give you an idea. But again, it doesn't get into so much on the financial side of things, as more of a program overview.
Yeah. Similar to the presentation today, honestly. Those have been consistently shared.
We're getting better, Brian.
I mean, just a follow-up on that, though. I mean, there is a responsibility that the organization has that presumably is presenting all of this to the board of directors to sign off on and move forward. I mean, are these do exist somewhere?
I would say, like,
sorry.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say it that way, but
Well, I would say that we've of course review budgets, but it's not sufficient. So the level of detail, not sufficient. So what we've initiated as your board this year as a task force to be like, well, what's the information? What do we need to see? What do we need to convey? Really, what's the P&L for each of these events? I mean, we're asking a lot of questions. And so there's a lot of work that I don't know that it was tracked in that way. So you're right. And as the board, we have a fiduciary responsibility to know exactly what's going on. So we're taking that responsibility extremely seriously. So, I get riled up because it just to be honest, there's been a disconnect. So we as a board need more information. Emily's now charged to provide that information, but it's going to take a little time before we can like really make sure that it's correct. I mean, we're not in dire straits. You know, there's money in the bank, there's, you know, but it's still like really what is happening and how the financial movement of money through the organization is really what we're putting together.
There's also
So.
a lot of turn.
Yeah.
As well. Sorry,
Yeah.
I forgot Zoom. There's a lot of new people involved as well. So there is a transition of information. There is of course, going to be a knowledge gap. So
Yeah.
it's going to take a little while for that information to be disseminated the way you want. But Brian,
Yeah.
the way that you described it is obviously the impact that this board is looking for. So
Yeah.
that's why I encourage you to ask questions.
Yeah. And the woman that has been running the numbers is out on medical leave. So that all sort of happened at the same time, that Michael's resignation and then our main point of contact is less available. So we're
One of the biggest mistakes is to hand me the microphone back again. But I did want to comment on this because Brian, you put your finger on, I think, one of the biggest challenges we have in marketing and in sales. We have to be able to describe what the program is that we're doing, and we have to have a way to evaluate whether or not what we did made any sense. And I understand that. But having said that, for bang for the buck, I want you to know that the governmental relations does not cost the organization a dime because it is the volunteers who serve and who join these meetings once a month. There is some cost. I mean, staff does prepare some agendas and make some calls, but this is a member organization. And as such, the participation of the members is critical. And I just wanted to say that, but I didn't want to take away at all from what you're saying as a business person. We ask that every day. What are we spending our money on, and does it make any sense? So thank you for those comments.
I just want to add, there's nothing untoward going on, and we as a board know that. So you know, so what we want to do, where we want to get, is send out P&Ls like, okay, Taste of Sonoma happened, and like, here's what it cost. Like, here's the actual, you know, here's the breakdown. Here's the auction, you know. So we're just not at that point right now, but that's where we want to be. So it won't take that long, but it is going to take a little bit of time.
Want to take this? Please.
If only it amplified in the room. To me, it's also important to see that so I can understand where my impact makes a difference for the organization. So like I always do barrel auction because I think it's a great event and I think it returns a lot to my company. But I also know that it's really important for the organization to raise money through the barrel auction so that then we can do all these other marketing initiatives that bring people to the county or, you know, put out a national ad or whatever it is. So I think part of my ask is, you know, it's nice to know what are the really impactful ways that we can, you know, help bring funds to the organization, whether it's through events, obviously our membership dues, that kind of thing. But yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
My question, I think, is more on consumption, which we want visitation, but we also need to increase consumption. We have an entire generation that's not drinking wine, and we all know that's an issue for us. Is there any programs, initiatives, narratives that you're working on to bend that narrative in a direction that's more positive? I mean, we all sell alcohol and it's on the CDC website as a carcinogen. How can we change that? That's a huge issue for us. We sell wine and it's causing cancer, people think. I mean, it's a huge impact for this younger generation. Yeah, yes, but wine is on the attack for that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a number of different ways to attack that, right? So there's the fact that it's on the CDC. So there's a sort of a policy approach, and then there's the marketing side of things. But you know, as we put together our plan for 26, like we'll have more to say about that. But I think currently there's the, it's the regulatory field and policy is one place to be working on that. And then the other is in, how we're marketing and Sonoma wine. So I don't know.
Just a little bit, just a look. Don't give his mic back.
Zoom can't hear. You're going to talk for a while.
All right. Again, it is a great question, but there are things that are taking place, and I just want to give a shout out. Jackson Family Wines is way more involved on a national scale than any of us have the resources to be, and they've been working very closely with Washington D.C. on changing some of those guidelines. We're not there yet, but there is work being done on it. And I think that there are also some marketing kind of programs that actually sit there. And I've seen some stuff recently about, these same people who are not drinking are spending an inordinate amount of time on their smartphones. And a campaign that shows, hey, put the phone down and open a bottle of wine. You'll get a lot better conversation with the people around you. And it's those kinds of things in conjunction with efforts at a national level that I think we need to spend some time on. But Jackson Family, they have more resources, obviously, but they are doing a great job in that respect.
And I'll just add, one of the things that we have done to that point is we have this Wine is Us campaign that we've highlighted that's on our website every week. And what we're really trying to do is highlight the connections that, wine brings people together and whatnot. So we're doing that visually. We boosted a lot of posts. We started this back in December of last year. Boosted post. So far, we've had over 1.6 million reach with that. So it's a little, program that we're doing, but hopefully has some impact. So
I just read an article that said that scrolling is worse for your brain than alcohol. Scrolling is. You what?
CNN just did an interesting article about the benefits of socialization and alcohol versus inactivity and social media. So
yeah, and Professor Galloway, who I'm a fan of, said the same thing. He's like, what kids need to be doing right now is drinking alcohol. So yes, 21-year-old kids. So anyway, there's definitely, there's a little bit of a change in the conversation out there, and hopefully we can, help that. No.
Yeah. But there are some other organizations doing some of this that I think could be good partnerships.
Yeah,
and help amplify and bring our little bit of resources that we all pull together to help reach a bigger message.
Yeah.
I was just gonna piggyback on the question about really understanding and knowing that marketing and sales is really important, but to who and how are they changing, and maybe what can this organization do to help everybody understand that who better so that you can get on the offense in that messaging and outreach to them.
I was actually going to kind of also piggyback on that vein and just say that it's wonderful that the trio is getting back together to collaborate. And what I would like to see is potentially having the same messaging, positioning, having some kind of initiative where across the board, that messaging is clear and it's communicated to us as vintners so that we can jump on that bandwagon. So we have this wonderful campaign that has a lot more force behind it than ever before.
Yep. Makes sense.
We're just about out of time. Is there any last question? One last question. Any questions online? No? Okay, great. Well, awesome. We both, Monica, thank you so much. Thank you for the space. Yeah. Yeah. I heard as people were entering, people were like, wow, this is a beautiful room. So thank you for sharing it with us. Thank you for hosting us. Monica's also on the board, also on the task force, also someone who has put in hours and hours and years to help this organization and is part of the effort to make it better. So thank you for all of that and for being our host. And Emily, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Really, really good questions and dialogue today. I was, of course, the one kicking and screaming about this meeting. I've only been here 2 weeks. There's not enough time, but I think these are really, really good questions. I wish we had all the answers for them, but we are working on them. They're great, great to tee up. So we thank you for all your feedback. Keep it coming. And let's go enjoy some wine.